Alright, in this video we're going to discuss all these new changes to different gun laws throughout the United States. And it's really everywhere you turn around in any news outlet you find, it's in the news every day and it's quite insane. Okay. Now we all know the latest big one this year was pistol braces. Okay. And before that we had bump stocks. And in the past, there were other things that were basically outlawed that used to be available until they changed the definition or criteria on. Ballistic knives, or the Spetsnaz knives, was one of them. Okay, you used to be able to buy them, and then they became outlawed. Bump stocks. So now we come in to the recent one, the pistol brace thing. And again, they give you some idiotic 200-page letter with such a bizarre set of descriptions that you can't make no sense out of it. And what it all boils down to is, I went into a gun shop this week and I talked to a guy. He's got an FFL. He's very proactive on law, and he knows his stuff. And I was sitting there, and he had an AR pistol, one of these, on the back end of it. I said, well, okay, is that a short-barreled rifle? Okay, what's going on here? Because I go on YouTube or on the internet, and I hear about every week they're making another video with this injunction, this change to the law, and that. And he was telling me it is challenged. There are challenges to these rulings in the court. And that's the big thing. It's going back and forth in the court. It's quite crazy. And he actually had something set up. He's going to go to a lecture, and he has, a brace like this that's retractable. He has another thing called a cheek rest. And what it is, it's short, it doesn't move. You put it on the back of the pistol. It looks like a very, very short little buttstock with a pad, and what you're supposed to do is put it up against your face if you fire the pistol. Now trying to shoulder it brings the gun so close to your body, it's not a stock. It's a rest. Then you have the tube with a little plastic fin, or you just have the plain tube with like a sling attachment on the end of the buffer tube with nothing whatsoever. And he was explaining this to me and he says he watches Washington Gun Lawyer. Now that guy, if you ever seen him, he gets right into it. He does call the ATF. He tries to get a response and an answer, and he is a lawyer. But this influx and this insanity, okay, you don't know. I guess what they all said, or the bottom line is, you should do, and I'm not giving you legal advice either, but he said the consensus is leave your weapons alone. Don't ask, don't ask, don't tell, don't turn them in, or disassemble them or whatever, because like with mine, I took this off and reconfigured it into a carbine. Okay, I don't have anything that fits this criteria anymore. And it's kind of ridiculous to where if it's so simple of just disassembling and swapping the parts around, it's foolish. Okay, then we have, again, they're calling for these assault rifle bans. And some states have done it. You can't have high-capacity magazines or quote-unquote, and I mean, people don't like it, call them assault rifles. Okay, they describe certain features or appearance of a weapon, which is basically ARs, AK-47s, I guess the Mini 14. For some reason, they leave the M1 carbine alone, I guess because of the age, or it's, I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't use them in mass shootings, um, so now you're getting into this, and some of these laws ban just about, in description, and some of them have a model name, specific model names, where they just list all these guns, and I mean it's pages and pages of firearms. And right now it's bad, okay? Because you have the bans on these supposed assault rifles in different states. This is being fought in court also. A lot of sheriffs, they had a couple sheriffs I seen on YouTube, they got out and said, look, we're not going to enforce this. Okay, I'm not going door to door to everybody in my jurisdiction and telling them to turn these guns over. He goes, I'm not going to do that. And then the governor said that if he doesn't do that, then they're going to replace him and find someone else that will. Okay. So the problem lies, like they all say, with gun violence. And you can go on YouTube also and see some pretty weird stuff. We had an incident here in North Carolina about a week ago where there was a shootout at a convenience store, gas station. Two guys with AR-style pistols. They didn't have braces on, so they must have gotten the letter from the ATF and taken off their braces. And it's just, they go up to the convenience store, then there's gunfire from across the street, then one starts shooting and another one comes out of the car and they're standing and they're just shooting across a road, a busy road, at somebody else in this apartment complex. And now there are these people Saturday afternoon sitting there with bullets shooting through their windows and everything else. Okay? So, it's not that gun violence doesn't happen. It's not that mass shootings don't happen. But the way our system is set up, where they demand to have guns removed, but yet they restrict law enforcement in their ability to stop criminals. They more or less cater to the criminals and allow them to do this. All right? And the whole system is creating this situation. What I believe the underlying thing is those in control, you want to call them the government or whatever the hell, they're allowing this to happen. And they're setting up the circumstances to where they can justify disarming the public. Okay? Because once they disarm the public, then they can do anything they want to you. Much like in Australia, where during the COVID, if you were on your cell phone telling somebody you were going to cross a county line or whatever in a lockdown, or if you said, I don't like these restrictions, they could arrest you. Okay? And that's another country. There's several countries that have eliminated private ownership of firearms. Australia, United Kingdom, I think Brazil did. I know Mexico has for years, but there's more weapons down in Mexico. And that's another country where I don't think you could really own firearms unless you owned a ranch or something, and you can have a 22 and a 12 gauge shotgun or 20 gauge shotgun. You can have one the police use to protect your livestock and kill predators or whatever. But all of these countries that have had private firearms ownership eliminated, there's still crime and that in there. All right? So these control laws don't work, but what they do is say people wish to protest an unfair government or feel that their rights are being violated in general, which kind of is what's going on here in the U.S., you can easily subjugate people when they're disarmed than you can if they're armed. Okay, and see, the big problem is here in this country, there's been more guns sold in the past 15 years than I think in the whole history of the United States. So this is a problem for the people who wish to change the government or the way things are run. So they're using everything they can, and in this whole back and forth legal thing, the only thing I can say is that at least somebody's trying to fight back. Okay. Uh, if they really had the control they wanted, it would just be done, and that's it. There's a lot of things going on that I believe, well, they're unconstitutional and illegal, but they still go on anyway, you know. But at least people are fighting back, and, you know, I don't know. Right now, I've never seen it this crazy. You know, they put one restriction on, and it's fought in court, and it goes back to one court, and back to another court, and that, and you really don't know where you stand. And what it has caused is, on another channel, I seen a guy was in a gun shop where he talks to him, and it's AR-15s. There's a lot of people that are selling them. And we all know how it goes during the panic. They go from $400 to $1,400, and everyone buys these guns. Then now that it's kind of, the law was never passed, there never was anything happened, now they're talking that, you know, they're going to change it, ban them. A lot of people just don't want to deal with it and sell the guns. And they were saying that a bunch of these are turning up, they got a whole rack full of them. You know, people just don't want to be involved in the controversy or, you know, having the government come crashing into your house in the middle of the night looking for them and that. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of confusion. You don't know what you have, if it's legal, illegal, you know, whatever, or where it's going to end up, or all of that. So it's trying times for us all. But like I said, the only good thing is there are organizations that are trying to fight back and make some sense out of this. And the one thing I've always heard everybody that's a gun owner say, it's not the guns, it's the people. Okay, you have to do something to control the people committing these crimes. And the thing is, the way the system is, it's more or less like they're giving them free rein to promote it as a reason to come back and put highly restrictive gun control laws in place. That's about my conclusion on it. All right, guys, thank you, and stay tuned.